Just call it bomb threats, and we'll just call them crank calls.
Hey, okay, I know one thing we probably cover before we go. What upcoming books are everybody looking forward to? Because I got my list. Does anybody else have books to look forward to?
I can't think of any. I do kind of want to pick up If It Bleeds. There's a.
It's already out.
Yeah, Stephen King. That one's already out. Oh, I remember one I want to pick up when it comes out. It's already out in Europe, but and it's
Europe.
Let's see.
It's already out in Europe.
I want to say it's something called An Evening of Discomfort or something like that.
Ben's a culture fellow, isn't he?
It's probably French.
No, it's Norwegian.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Norwegian.
It was like it had some buzz in England because it was nominated for an award, but it sounds really interesting.
And what's it called?
Let me find it. I remember. I've got it in my bookshop.
Foreign. He just knows it's foreign.
I've got it in my.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs and potted plants. That one's going to be good.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Who's the hack fraud that wrote that shit?
Is that up for? It's not up for pre-order or anything. Okay.
No, we don't even have the cover or anything yet.
So this one releases from Random House August 4th. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Random House, it's the big four, mainstream, blah, blah, blah. But the concept of this one, the premise really intrigued me, and I want to see what conclusions the author comes to in this story because it says here, a disarming novel that asks a simple question. Can gentle people change the world? It's called Leonard and Hungry Paul by Ronan Hession. In this charming and truly unique debut, popular Irish musician Ronan Hession tells the story of two single 30-something men who still live with their parents and who are nice. They take care of their parents and play board games together. They like to read. They take satisfaction from their work. They're resolutely kind, and they realize that none of this is considered normal. Leonard and Hungry Paul is the story of two friends struggling to protect their understanding of what's meaningful in life. It is about the uncelebrated people of this world, the gentle, the meek, the humble. And as they struggle to persevere, this book asks a surprisingly enthralling question. Is it really them against the world, or are they onto something? Now that, to me, sounds like a unique concept in today's,
Yeah, it sounds pretty interesting. Might as well call it like low T acquiescence. Like
Simpin 101.
It sounds like an interesting premise.
Oh, I found the one that I was thinking of. It's called fuck. Yeah, The Discomfort of Evening.
Discomfort of Evening. Is it?
It seems to be like a sort of literary horror book from the way it's described.
What's that creepy book about people being nice called again, Jeremy?
No, it's not creepy. It's called Leonard and Hungry Paul.
Leonard and Hungry Paul. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize.
It sounds more like a drama or a Bildungsroman.
Yeah, it sounds like a sort of dark kind of coming of age story.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So this was shortlisted for the International Booker Prize in 2020. A stark and gripping tale of childhood grief from one of the most exciting new voices in Dutch literature. So it's about a 10-year-old girl on a dairy farm. Her face soft like cheese under her mother's hands. The texture of green warts like capers on migrating toads in the village. The sound of blush words that aren't in the Bible. I have no idea what any of that means.
I mean...
What do you think this book is about?
It's basically about a family that lives in a sort of culture setting that starts falling apart.
Okay. Cocooned in her red winter coat, Jas dreams of the other side and of salvation, not knowing where this dreaming will finally lead her. That does sound intriguing. So, where'd you hear about this one, Ben?
someone in a literature group I post in on Facebook. They posted about it because they're in England and it's already out there. And they were saying that it made them extremely uncomfortable and they weren't sure, what they thought of it because it was just so disquieting to them.
This book unnerved them to the point that they were speechless, basically.
Pretty much.
I wonder, there must be something that the synopsis is holding back then that's supposed to be like a game changer in the story, I guess, right? So also, this guy, Jon Athan, or John, it's a pun on Jon Athan. I mean, just look at that cover. That's a cool cover, right?
That's pretty. It's kind of cheesy, but it's cool in a cheesy way. Right.
This guy writes extreme horror, on the sleazier side. He's like, if Edward Lee is like a Hilton hotel, this guy would be a Motel 6 in comparison to Edward Lee, right?
And Edward Lee is already a Motel 6.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy has a smaller audience, but he's still pretty prolific. He's got another one coming out that's a sequel to Dr. Sadist, I think. It's called Kill Woo, and I'm looking forward to that too. I don't know. This guy isn't like a favorite author of mine, but like I got to read some of his stuff when I come across it anyway. Max Booth, complete tool, but he writes good. He writes good. Seriously, this guy wrote about clown fetishes on his website. He's a goof.
No, he wrote about Pennywise fetishes. It was really weird.
He's a goofball.
Then he tried to play it off like it was somehow tongue in cheek, or people weren't supposed to take it seriously. The way I read it is he was like seriously trying to. It was like a journalistic piece about how cool it is that people want to fuck Pennywise.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny,
but he didn't write it like it was funny. He wrote it like it was like the new trendy fetish that people were supposed to like golf clap people for. Like, you're so brave.
I mean, people want to fuck. People want to fuck everything. It's like, I mean, the VCR that's looking good right now.
It didn't come off like a satire piece to me.
But
I mean, it's usually funnier if you do, don't reveal that it's a satire piece. If you just write it with a straight face.
But see, he even though he's a dork, he is a good writer. He wrote that book with the person with the owl head or whatever, the night manager or the night. What was it called? The night something. Then.
I don't know. What I'm thinking of is,
nobody likes it.
I mean, one of the pages. I just think of the Facebook page where he talks about his day job as a night auditor, which is pretty funny.
He does seem to go on about the dang hotel job quite a bit.
I think he's pretty funny when he talks about that. And I also like the podcast he does about Stephen King. I think it's called Castle Rock Radio.
Well, anyway, he's a good writer anyway, and I may check out Touch the Night. It's compared to Stranger Things and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, something sinister in the town of Percy, Indiana. They're about to find themselves up close and personal. Their sons have been best friends for years, abducted in the dead of night. Okay. Well, anyway, it looks somewhat intriguing. And finally, we met this guy in Oregon. I don't know if you remember him, Kevin, but Scott Cole wrote Super Ghost, which is...
Yeah, I interviewed him on my podcast a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right. And he was a cool guy, right? He was
a cool guy till he fucking ghosted me like everybody else.
Oh, did he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So did Tom, what was that other guy that we met up there?
Tom, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. He wrote the Alien Gladiator movie or story. Yeah.
We were cool for a while. He actually had me come on and guest lecture for his college writing class that he taught. He had me come on and guest lecture. And then he ghosted me like everybody else.
Huh. Well, he's finally releasing a new one called Crazytimes, and it's got something to do with meteors falling and people running naked through the streets, eating rocks. I don't know. It could be interesting anyway. So those are the ones I'm looking for.
I didn't mind Super Ghost. I thought it was okay for a freshman effort. It wasn't bad. It had a cool premise to it. The writing was pretty standard, generic. But
I have noticed that I've noticed a lot of more recent New Bizarro authors are more quickly putting their New Bizarro books out either by themselves or through other presses.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the older ones are still in print through Eraserhead, but the newer ones seem to be going out faster.
Eraserhead's only putting out like 4 or 5 books a year now, aren't they?
Seems to be that way. I know that and like half the books are like Carlton Mellick's.
Yeah.
He's only had 2 books in the last 2 years.
Well, I think he said that he only released like 1 or 2 this year because his father recently passed away.
Yeah, but I've talked to him about it. He's not actively writing fiction. He's writing other things.
He probably needed a break.
Yeah, everybody needed a break from Bizarro. Even the only legitimate Bizarro writer needed a break from Bizarro.
But I mean
D. Harlan Wilson is still doing his thing, so that's good.
Now
he was always more of a literary type, I guess.
Yeah, he's an OG though for sure. D. Harlan Wilson is one of the few from the first 6 writers of Eraserhead that's had some kind of longevity, right?
Yeah.
Wait, who dropped off? Gregor, I didn't give you permission to go.
but
I hope he comes back though, so we can say goodbye. At least.
But yeah, D. Harlan Wilson, he's definitely more of an academic type. He's been pumping out pretty consistently, both fiction and nonfiction.
Gregor, I know it's late, man. Come on, come back and say goodbye at least.
I know he'll be back. Don't cry.
Okay. Anyway, so what are you looking forward to, Zach? Anything?
To be honest, I don't really know about new books coming out. Like I usually,
I always buy random weird books I find out about.
Oh yeah, speaking of like D. Harlan,
a lot of books based on this recommendations on this show.
Yeah, speaking of D. Harlan Wilson, I am looking forward to his book Outre, which he's going to send me a review copy of.
Is that the one with the whale on the cover?
Yeah, I remember he talked about that for a while. Then for some reason he had to drop it, and now he's finished it and is putting it out.
All right, awesome.
I guess I could say I'm looking forward to that one too.
Love D. Harlan Wilson.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. I read his book of plays. I think that's the last book I read from him. Those were pretty awesome. So
Strange, you don't have any book at all you're looking forward to that got delayed?
Not anything that is like in like the pre-order phase, like you were showing there. No, I buy books sporadically and randomly, and I buy a lot of old books. I like to go to bookstores and buy old fiction. I don't buy a lot of brand new stuff. Like I can't think of the last thing I bought like as a pre-order, other than I buy some Carlton Mellick that way, but not everything.
Yeah, the last thing I bought pre-ordered was a copy of Yukio Mishima's Life for Sale.
The last thing I bought, I think, was Big Meat by Carlton Mellick.
Who's a fan of Being John Malkovich and Adaptation and all those kinds of movies?
Charlie Kaufman stuff. He's good.
I haven't seen. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, Antkind.
His debut is coming out, I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
July
it's supposed to be like a big doorstopper, isn't it? 720 pages.
Yeah,
that's going to be the literary equivalent of the fucking multiverse bullshit we just went through. He's a great writer.
I'm clipping
I'm ready to do that again. That's freaking fun.
What was the name of that? What was the name of that movie that he made not that long ago? Maybe 5-6 years ago. Something New York, not Sandusky, New York. It's
Synecdoche, New York.
That's a really good fucking movie.
It is. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like a playwright that gets like a grant.
He gets a grant to build his own like reality,
and he never stops. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I remember reading John Malkovich. That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm. I guess Gregor either fell asleep or decided he couldn't take anymore. I don't know.
Done. He said, "Fuck you, people."